Andy Zaski here, VP of Sales and Marketing. Thank you for joining us, ToloTalk. We added a little mystique to the invitation here and the announcement. So hopefully you're game to play along. I was going to try and weave in a James Bond themed story along with the various applications, and I just ran out of steam. So I apologize for that. However, I think this is an interesting concept. It's been an idea that I've had for a month or two. We've gotten some great feedback. People have appreciated the ToloTalks, which is fantastic. Said, hey, keep it a little bit shorter and try to keep it moving along. And they would appreciate that as well. So in the interest of that, I'm starting to do a little bit of a series here, calling them a 4x4. So 4 applications with 4 different products. And just to try and get those juices flowing for you from the sales side, thinking about customers that you maybe haven't seen for a while, that you're reaching back out to now, and trying to reconnect with them. And if it's not a particular market that you're in, the type of application might resonate with you in terms of something you're seeing or a problem or issue or an opportunity that your customers may have. So with that, I've got 4 different applications. Here's just to add a little bit to the mystique. We're going to walk through 4 different application here, concepts, one at a time, and I'll slowly unveil each of the 4 different blocks here, but I'll give you a little bit of a teaser as we get started here on what each of them has to work on. So the first one is a machine. And I don't know if you know, but we do make roller screws. We make planetary roller screws. I've got one right here, and I can bring this up to the camera. Hopefully you're looking at both the presentation on my computer, but as well, you've got me on the side here on the view. But this is a planetary roller screw. We do all the machining here in Hamel, Minnesota, and you can see the planetary rollers on the inside. So what we've been doing, though, for years and years and years is putting these in thousands and tens of thousands of actuators, shipping them all over the world. We also more recently have just started to look at promoting them for sale as a bare screw themselves. So there are machine builders looking to design the machine, fabricate the machine and sell them, and they need roller screws. And so what I'd ask you to do is go out and look at your customer base and see if there are opportunities to sell a roller screw. And we have quite a wide variety from 15 millimeter diameter all the way up to 63 millimeter diameter. So quite the size difference. So their force capabilities are quite significant. We have about 2 or 3 leads in just about every single one of those sizes. We have the ability to machine the ends of it, et cetera. And in this case, here in North America, we found a customer making their machine. They had been using a competitive roller screw. That the lead time on that roller screw was pretty long. A lot of these roller screws have been made in Switzerland and in different parts of Europe. They've had extensively long, exceedingly long, I should say, lead times. So 8, 12, 16-week lead times. And that's what we were dealing with as a purchaser of them, and why about 10 years ago, we started to get into the manufacturing of them. A multi-million-dollar investment, state-of-the-art equipment. And in this case, we found a semiconductor customer, worked very closely with our distributor that was servicing that customer. They were making chip handling and test machines. So you can see at the bottom of my screen here, the chip comes in. They actually have a pogo test. So they have to push down on these chips as they come through. Next one come down. They hold that for a little bit. So they needed something that could do a repeatable pressing application and do it very, very precisely, but also to have very long life. And so this plays right into roller screws. We've been talking about pressing applications over the last 6-12 months, hydraulic replacement. And so right now here, you've got a great application for roller screws, semiconductor, where you need a lot of high precision. They needed to work out a different supplier. The supplier they had was too long for their lead time. So they were looking at 1,250 pounds of force, and they needed some special things done to their the nut body of their roller screw. And our distributor actually worked with us. They had some machining capability as well, and were able to accommodate and fabricate up something that would kind of clamp around our screw and meet the customer's needs. So we sold them 5 prototype units. They got those units. They got the additional attachment from our distributor, and everything was great. And then it went quiet for a while. We were wondering what was going on. And semiconductors, kind of goes in cycles, just like oil and gas and automotive. Things had gone quiet. They came back just recently. placed a $100,000 order with us with blanket releases and needed them as quickly as possible. So here's a great example where Tolomatic was able to get in with the customer a year or two ago, get them some prototypes, have them test out the product themselves, get some experience with that, and then eventually adopt our product into their standard design and use lead time, our speed of delivery, as a key differentiator here. So we've done that. We're doing some machining on the ends. They gave us a drawing. We went back and forth. So machining the screw end as well as the base end here of the screw material to their specifications, and things have been going very well. So they're using a 20 by 10 roller screw. Again, we got 15 millimeters the smallest. 20 is the screw that we make the most of. I got a 5 lead and a 10 lead and a 4 lead in that configuration. So everything's been working great. Customers are really excited. So if you have a customer that's interested in selling roller screws, I would encourage you to reach out. This is a brochure that we've got on our website, and it's got several pages to it. We're going to do some updating of it in the next couple of weeks. But if you're looking to try and propose and put this product in front of your customer, go out, grab that brochure. You can send it off to your different customers, use it in your sales spiel, or use it on your Tolomatic app that many of you, I think about 200 of you, have now downloaded and have in your repertoire. So what it does is it talks through all of the different sizes, and you can see here on the left-hand side, you've got the different sizes and lead combinations, kind of small print right there. Talks about our ability to machine the ends of that screw. I've highlighted that with a circle. It also talks about our differences between ball screws and roller screws. So a great target would be to go to a customer that's been using an Acme screw or a ball screw configuration, and they're having issues with life and performance with their customers, and then upgrade them into a roller screw. Another option is to find someone that's having delivery issues. And I know just about every manufacturer is having some delivery issues right now, so it might be a very good opportune time to get in there and say, hey, what kind of lead times are you getting on that roller screw? And would you be interested in a second source and an alternative that might come domestically out of the United States, have faster lead times? So all those things for you to consider and use in your daily sales activity. So our first one of our 4x4 is a machining center using a merchant roller screw. Our next application involves trains, and this would have been much easier to dial into a James Bond theme story. But anyways, this company came to us about a year and a half ago. We've been working with them pretty extensively. They have issues where their customers are wearing out their wheels, which sounds strange. So the wheels on the track, if they're not steering exactly the right way, if they are rubbing a little bit up against the side of the rail, they wear down faster, and then they have to be replaced. And that can be expensive, both from the wheel itself as well as just the maintenance of it. So what they've started doing is adding a steering mechanism to steer just slightly. You're not steering a train off the tracks, but you're trying to align, maybe is a better word, align the wheels so that they run down that track in the best possible match to minimize the wear on them. And so they started doing this, and they've done it with hydraulics. Obviously, you're going over tons of open ground. Hydraulic fluid is a concern. This customer in particular is in Europe. And so they're trying to eliminate the hydraulics from their system design. So they worked with us, and we came up with our IMA. So when we came to them, they wanted something that was compact, something that could fit underneath the train itself, something that would connect in and be able to be controlled very precisely. And so we worked with them on the IMA. The issue is, as anyone that's ridden on a train knows, there is a little bit of vibration that happens while you're riding on a train. So the train itself is bouncing along a little bit. And so the issue that we had to overcome and are still working on is the vibration environment that they have us exposed to in this application. So what started off with a fairly standard application has evolved over the last 12 months into a rather custom design of our IMA. IMA still is the standard base model, but a lot of things that we've changed on the inside and even the outside of that actuator in order to accommodate the environment. This is going to be sitting underneath the train, so you got outside weather. It's also got to be in this vibration sort of environment. So worked with them very carefully. They've got quite a bit of extensive drawing involvement. We've done some NRE fees, so non-recurring engineering fees. We've got some testing fees. that they've signed up to help pay for, and then we've also taken on some responsibility for that. And then there's been a lot of clarification. I didn't know this before, but when you're working with shock and vibration, there are many different levels of shock and vibration environments. And so figuring out what's the right level to test our actuator at has been a key piece. And then understanding some of the significances of the different levels. Some are actually for rocket ships and things like that, the extreme vibration environment. So it's been a learning opportunity for Tolomatic. It's opened up some new ideas. I put this forward with you with the idea that you may not have a train manufacturer in your backyard, but you may have a customer that wants to put an actuator outside in an outside environment. You may have an actuator or an opportunity to sell a hydraulic replacement actuator, or you may have someone with a high vibration sort of environment that hasn't traditionally thought about an electric actuator being able to survive in that environment, and someone that we could talk with. So with that, initial suppliers, they did try a competitive unit. That did not survive their environment either. They came to us. That was a non-integrated version, so we had a separate motor and separate actuator. Trying to get those two pieces to hang together, trying to work out a belt or gear system of some sort, connect them, very challenging. Really, the only way to survive the environment would be our integrated motor actuator combination. I'll show you a picture of that in just a second. So they need a rugged design, fit in a fairly tight space underneath the train. So got distributor contact in 2019. They brought us in. We did a revision on the design. Did some initial sort of budgetary pricing exercises with them. Finally, almost 9 months later, we did our first round of shock and vibe testing, and that's where we failed the shock and vibe test. So we learned from that, understood, went back, negotiated with them a little bit. They adjusted. So there's two vibration environments, one that's quite severe and one where our actuator would be that just hangs underneath the train with a linkage between them that has some flexibility to it. So we're actually creating a fairly sophisticated test mechanism that we're going to run at an outside laboratory to validate the design here, and that is ongoing. But we've completed a new design and has quite a few special features to it. I've listed them out at the bottom of this. In the meantime, they have 4 actuators in their position that they're doing testing with on a unit that they have on a small piece of track, and now they've placed an order for 35 more units they're going to put on a series of train cars and then do some testing later this summer and fall. So pretty exciting to see how this is moving along. What I wanted to do was show you that opportunity in this sort of environment, as well as get you thinking about that integrated motor actuator combination and some of the modifications that we can do with our design. So we, in this case, put a custom stainless steel thrust rod. So this rod coming out of the actuator here is typically a steel component. They wanted it to be stainless for corrosion concerns. We had to put a resolver on the back end. You couldn't use an encoder here to connect to the drive. The resolver was the only thing that would withstand the vibration environment. We had a customer clevis. It's going to sit underneath the train and needed to be able to have a pivot point here and have some movement. We had to shorten the overall length in order to get it to fit. So we had to figure out with our engineering group how to take out some extra space that we have in here for ease of assembly and things like that. Had a custom drive actually connected to this with some custom wiring and cabling. And then they needed to be flame proof, and they needed a flame proof paint. So we're painting this a very special paint that we have learned a fair bit about as well. So a lot going on in this application. I just wanted to highlight within our second application, we've got this IMA, or integrated motor actuator, and we don't sell as much of this through distribution as I think we should. It is a little intimidating. There is a lot going on. You have a motor and electrical wiring and connections to a third-party drive, all that you have to help, or the customer has to feel comfortable with integrating and putting all those pieces together. But we're here to help. We've got a lot of experience with this. We have, as you see in the upper right-hand corner here, there's a number of robot and drive controller combinations. We are licensed with Allen Bradley, so any Rockwell customers. We've done work with Siemens. We do robot carried applications with ABB, Fanuc, KUKA, you name it. And we've actually started with just working with Mitsubishi as well. The Japanese are not always very willing to open up their drive architecture to run a third-party motor, but we've had some breakthroughs with Mitsubishi here recently. So I encourage you to look at the IMA. Think about a solution where now you can sell not only the actuator, but the actuator and motor. This increases your sales value by about 40%. It gives the customer a very unique product. There are much fewer competitors of this product out in the marketplace than there are of a non-integrated actuator. So differentiate yourself, create a competitive barrier, and help the customer with a very sleek, compact design. And if they need some modifications, as we talked about, that's possible too, as long as there's volume behind those modifications down the road. So with that, we've worked through 2 of our 4 applications here, and we're on to fibers in this case. So you don't think about us manufacturing fibers maybe necessarily, but we do things with wire for medical applications. We do things in a number of different areas around fibers, and in this case, it's a glass fiber. So we had a customer on the East Coast that was working with a competitor, and they had come up with this new design for a machine, but they needed to have the actuators survive in an environment that was not the friendliest. So the other supplier was not able to accommodate that, put them in the mode of looking for new suppliers. We got connected with them. We sat down and talked about what were their concerns. And they said, look, there's the potential for this chlorine to condense on top of the surface of the actuator. So I'm concerned about the coatings that are on it. This actuator is going to have to live in 60 degrees Celsius environment. Initially, it started at, I think, 80 degrees Celsius. We said that's too much. They were able to do some additional calculations and figured out that the environment would really more closely be at a 60 degree. And we said we could survive in that environment. But we had to look at every single piece of the product that was in there. I'm going to put this one up here. This is really what we're talking about for the most part, was a B3 product. And then they had the potential for particulate contamination as well, as they're putting fiber through this manufacturing process. And so needed something with a very tight sealing band here so that we could keep as much as possible out of the inside of this actuator. So we zeroed in on our B3 series here. We had to look through every single component, think about the coating, think about the sealing, think about the environment and the motor connection. Again, we talked with them back in May of 2020, started this process out. They kept adding a few more actuators to the applications. So we're on the Y and the Z axes here. They finally put together an RFQ and then issued a prototype order. So they're building their first machine. And if this is successful, then the idea is that they will replicate this at many of their facilities around the world. So again, a repeat part number, I guess stretching maybe the definition of OEM here, but an end user application with multiple applications. So a lot of engineering work involved, a lot more than we anticipated. We created, I think, 80 new part numbers to fabricate this. Many of them had to do with the new coating that we had to put on. So I had to send a number of these parts out for an outside process. Took several weeks. So the lead time to get the first prototype units actually put together and built was fairly extensive, but that was ultimately successful. Customers happy, and they're building up their prototype unit now. So we have a lot of good hope that this will be a success. Again, we use kind of a broad array of actuators here. I think we're selling 5 or 6 different actuators for this application. Most of them are this B3 series that I've highlighted here for you here. So a few things that we had to do. So this custom hard coat anodizing on this. We had these some mounts, mount this with stainless steel. We had modified some of the clamping that they were going to do, and then customize some of the connectors, right, that were going to stick out here for motor connections and stuff to stainless to survive the really challenging environment. So that told you about the application. Just a little bit more about the product. You may be familiar with it. You know, Tolomatic really was known as the rodless actuator leader over the last several decades, and really has maintained a position in that area. We extended from pneumatics into electric maybe 20 years ago, and we've just continued to build out. And this B3 is really a unique product out in the marketplace. You can see on the inside here, this V-wedge bearing system here allows you to put a fair amount of force on top of this actuator for it to hold it. So it's great in gantry, X prime sort of applications. We have a brand new gantry brochure that you could use with customers to talk them through that process. two axes, three axes sort of system design. It's also got a really unique band sealing mechanism here. It also has multiple options. So you can put wraparound carriages, you can put multiple carriages on this design. So a lot of flexibility for you to work with your customers on. And the lengths, if you're in a screw, it can be 1 or 2 meters or up to 6 feet. If you're in a belt sort of configuration, we've made them up to 35 or even 40 feet in length. So there's a splice kit that goes along with that. A little assembly required at the customer's site, but we've had a lot of success with that. So a great actuator where most of our competitors would need 2 or 3 actuators to do what a single actuator can do. So think about B3s as an opportunity. So I'm 3 out of 4. Our last one is an application around injection, and we'll build that out for you. So here we're working with a medical customer. It's been a long time customer of ours. We see more and more medical applications, and we're excited about that. So if you have something in that arena, please let us know. Love to take a look at, we've done pill sorting, we've done volumetric dispensing here and injections. We've done measurement systems, catheter, wire twisting, and manufacturing. The list goes on, and there's actually some ToloTalks on medical applications, or what I would say, pharmaceutical and healthcare, sort of that sort of environment. So think through that, and would be love to talk with your customers about opportunities there. In this case, they came to us and said, we love what you're doing on this other product. We've got a new application. We really need something that's very compact, and we have some pretty tight specifications around it. We sat down with them, we worked through the design, and we identified some suggestions to them. So we came back and said, here's what you specified, here's what we would like to adjust with your permission, and we think we can give you a better solution as a result of that. So we collaborated with engineering work back and forth. We picked our RSA as a base body and then customized things around that. So we were able to use, let's say, maybe 75% of our standard design. And then we started to adjust the design around that. We did need to meet the spec as it was adjusted. And then the customer obviously had to do reliability testing on this. So they're going to be dispensing fluid into a human being with this. This is the pump that's going to be very precisely metering out that fluid injection. So the opportunity began back in 2017. So again, these repeat part number OEMs have a long sales cycle to them sometimes. We worked through design iterations with them for 1 to 2 years, actually. As this project kind of was on the front burner, then went to the back burner, back to the front burner, back to the back burner. They've built their first prototypes for them in 2019, just very rudimentary prototypes to confirm the whole concept. And then they placed an order for about 100 units in Q4 of last year. We shipped those out over a couple months period for them, and they've been doing ongoing additional testing as this is ramped up to the next level now. So we're pretty excited about that. These are design verification units shipped out in January, and they're looking for FDA approval on this whole new product in 2022. So things would ramp up then in the 2022-2023 timeframe as they launch this. So very excited. Again, 35 pieces was the initial order, but it was $100,000. And the potential is significant, 400 to 600 units per year. So finding these key OEMs is a key piece to our success. I brought this product up on the bench here as an example of a custom unit as well. Here's another OEM we worked with that has done $1 million a year with us for the last several years. And it's all a result of us sitting down, collaborating on what they needed, and building out a unique design for them that would fit into their application. So we don't always encourage a white sheet of paper, and we do it very rarely. But in some situations with certain customers that can bring the volume, we're very happy to do that. And I invite you to bring those opportunities to us. So ball screw driven, internal anti-rotate was required. We utilized our standard RSA 24 body itself. So there's some commonality of parts. We had to mount a unique sensor that they required on the outside. You can see that puck-shaped thing on the top of it, and then the customer specified and told us what motor they wanted to put on the back of it. So sort of a not quite your motor here, but in that vein where we're not making the motor, we're just attaching that motor, making sure they've got a solution then, a complete unit. So just to build on the application and the product concept. Out on our website, you'll find this custom and modified products page. On our app, you'll find this a number of examples here of custom units that we've done for customers. So if you're looking for things to actually shake the cobwebs loose and think about new opportunities, I invite you to go out and take a look at this. Feel free to share these with your customers. There might be something here that resonates with them. Hey, I've never seen that in a catalog with one of those big companies, but here, little old Tolomatic has a unique design that we've done for a customer that might have some application or some similarity with what they're doing, and then we could build off of that. Or maybe it has no similarity whatsoever, but the idea that we have the engineering capability to work with them and collaborate is intriguing to them. So I invite you to explore some of those opportunities. So that's my rapid fire first attempt at a 4x4 for you. I invite feedback from you on that. Again, 4 different applications, 4 different products, real quick rapid fire. And hopefully you found something in there of interest.